Day 2 of the 2023 NFL Draft has come to a close, and we're going to go over today's events by giving each and every team grades on how they did. Only on Day 2, I will take into consideration trades and whatnot. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice beautiful football discourse. Some of y'all were a little mad. Apparently I was a bit harsh with my day 1 grades, so I reeled it back a little bit, but some teams did get C's, and there's one team that got lower than a C, and we'll get to them later. But we're gonna be starting with Washington, and I really only gave out A's for teams I really thought deserved it, so we're gonna see a lot of B's, some C's and whatnot. Let's go over Washington's draft class. As no trades for them, they put in, I thought they got solid players. They got Quan Martin, who I think is going to be a really good slot player. Bobby McCain left. That was their leader in snaps in the slot. Danny Johnson's there, but he's more of a special teamer, so I thought Quan was a really good pickup. Ricky Stromberg, it was kind of weird. Like, Luke Whippler just fell out of day 2, and I'll talk about my best prospects available going into day 3 tomorrow, which he'll be talked about. But it was real weird. We saw guys like Drew Scruggs get drafted, and then Ricky Stromberg, which I felt much better about being at the back end of the 3rd round. And ultimately, I think he's a very solid player, and I think that's what they did. They went out, they got solid players. So I'm going to go ahead, give them a B for their day 2. Thought it was solid, thought it was good. So let's move on to the Tennessee Titans, which, oh man, this was eventful. So the Tennessee Titans opened round 2 by trading up with the Arizona Cardinals and getting Will Levis. Now they swapped 2nd and 3rd round picks with the Arizona Cardinals, which means in the 3rd that they would be picking, rather at 72, that they moved back to pick at 81, and they gave an extra 3rd for the 2024 draft. But I think that's worth it if you think this is your guy. Like Will Levis, a lot of people thought he would go in the 1st round. He did not. Apparently the Times were trying to move back up into the 1st round to get him as he was falling. But this is exceptional value. I like it. The Tajay Spears was a result of this trade. Again, their pick 72 turned into 81, and they grabbed Spears, who I think is going to be a really good complement to Derrick Henry. It's a really good class. You got potentially your franchise quarterback, and you didn't have to give much up to get him. That's an A to me. Good job, Tennessee Titans. I think they're having a solid draft. All right, we're going to move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Some people might be a bit indifferent with their draft class. They moved up to get Cody Mauch, cost them pick 179. Cody Mauch probably not ready now, and probably profiles to be a center or a guard in the NFL. And I think that's fine. Let's be honest with the Bucs. They probably look like they're going to go into maybe a rebuild, or potentially, hopefully, I guess, a quick turnaround. And because they don't have a franchise quarterback in place, allegedly. I don't know, Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield, they're going to come save the franchise? I don't know. We'll see. So I thought Cody Mauch was a fine pick there, as we saw like Joe Tippmann go picks earlier. So it was like maybe a little bit more pressure to go in and get that guy. And they grabbed Yaya Diaby at pick 82. I had him as a top 100 player. I think that's fine. At the end of the day, I gave him a B. I thought it was a good haul for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I don't have too many problems with it. We're going to move on to the Seattle Seahawks, who were busy birds, kind of, sort of. They stayed put with their picks after a very phenomenal, I will say, day 1. And I know some people are not going to like the Zach Charbonnet pick. I think it's fine. It's about the right value. That's where he was on my big board. And I know it's like, well, we got freaking Kenneth Walker. Like, we don't need Zach Charbonnet, but I think you got a good balance of 2 backs there. As Charbonnet is really more of this power back, this bruiser, while you got Kenneth Walker, who's kind of this all-around package. And it's kind of weird, because I would say Charbonnet is actually the better pass catcher between the two. So it's like, I'm fine. It's not great, but I thought it was good enough. It's good value for the player. You might be like, we don't need it. It's like, listen, you're not picking for your need. You're picking for value. Charbonnet is run back 3 for me. You have Sunley, a very scary backfield, along with now very scary weapons for Geno. So it just helps Geno in the long run. And then Derek Hall, may have went a little earlier than I had him on my board, but I understand the pick. He actually brings a very good run defended. Gojo's is a bit skeptical, but I think he's a good run defender. He's a guy that's going to attack from this like 7-tech Y9 alignment, which that's where Seattle likes to put their guys, their edge rushers. They have a very much an attack in like 3-4. So they're like, hey, go wide and just go get him. And I think that's the perfect system for Derek Hall. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Solid players, solid draft. I'll give it a B. Like I said, I'm not giving out A grades willy-nilly. Now let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers. I'm just going to say it right off the bat. I hated their draft. And I get it. Their first pick wasn't technically till like 99. They move up for Jair Brown. They give away 102. They give away 164 and then 222. So it's not that steep of a price. And they got Jair Brown, which was their best move here in the 3rd round. That was their best move. Like Jair Brown, I know athletically didn't test well, but he's a solid tackler and a ball hawk. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to question that. He was in the early day 3 range for me anyway. So it's like, okay, that's fine. They really like him. The safety class is kind of all over the place anyway. They drafted kicker. Listen, I'm going to give it an F. I don't think you should draft kickers or punters. I think you could get solid guys as UDFAs. And even if you do pick them up relatively early, like, what was it, last year? It wasn't until pick 124. So you're doing a 25 picks early. I was like, that's horrible. And then Cameron Latu, I had as a like mid-day 3 pick. I get it. Well, he's going to be a solid tight end too. Cool. You should have drafted him like he was, like later. Somewhere on day 3. Like day 2, I don't think was the place for him. And this was the lowest grade I gave tonight. And it's a D. I don't think the Niners did a good job. I really, really don't. Okay, we're going to go ahead and talk about what I think one of the best day 2s in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought they did really, really well. And like I was like, you know what? I don't even need to track their trades. At least really it was just the Darnell Washington trade. Like Joey Porter, everyone and their mom assumed he would be pick 32, and he was. Great value. Most people had him as a day 1 corner. Keanu Benton was one of my favorite players in this class. In a class that's not really filled with a lot of run defenders on the interior. He is that guy. Brett Coleman, his comp for him was Cameron Hayward. So it's like, okay, sign me up. I like that. So, okay, cool. And then Darnell Washington, apparently he was falling because of a knee problem that got flagged at the combine. So that's why he was falling. And Pittsburgh was like, okay, let's go ahead and make a move for him. Great. Phenomenal. This is a fantastic draft thus far for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's an A. I think they are killing it. Good job, Steelers. Okay, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. And y'all tore up day 1. And then I thought the day 2 picks were relatively safe, and I think that's fine. They traded down and got Tyler Steen, and it was kind of funny. Houston was the one that traded with them, and they moved up to get Juice Scruggs, who was a guy I had lower on my board than Tyler Steen. So, and Tyler Steen's going to be a guard. I have him under my tackle rankings, but I imagine that a lot of people had him projected as a guard with the sub 33-inch arms. So they got back 188, 230, like not like a great haul or anything, but it's like, yeah, they moved down 3 spots and they got extra picks. Cool, great. I love it. And then they had pick 66, which was from the tampering with Jonathan Gannon, and they grabbed Sidney Brown, who's a very solid player and a guy that'll come in and help ease the loss of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Like, this dude's a bowling ball shot out of a cannon, and I love it. I thought that was a really good pick, and I thought, you know what, day two, they grabbed solid guys, players that could probably be immediate contributors. I'm going to give it a B. I thought it was good. I think the Eagles are having a really good draft right now. All right, we're going to move to the New York Football Jets. They only had one pick. It was Joe Tippmann. And let's do this quick. This was solid. I gave it a B. He's a guy that's going to be probably an intermediate starter. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they tried to start him at other spots on the offensive line, guard or tackle. But he could be your center, like Connor McGovern. Maybe you could move around. I don't know. It's a good pick regardless. Probably the most athletic interior player in this class. It was just a good pick. It was really one of the only pick they had on day two. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. But hey, that Aaron Rodgers thing is going to pan out, hopefully. The New York Giants are getting an easy A from me. John Michael Schmitz was a guy that was projected potentially going at pick 25. I think they initially had 25. Yes, because the Jags initially had 24, then they traded. And they get him at 57. Phenomenal. That's great. And then they moved down 4 spots. The Texans, again, here trading up for Tank Dell, a guy you could say was kind of in the general region of a Jalen Hyatt, who ended up being their second pick on day two. But they moved down and they picked up an extra pick. Phenomenal. Now you get Danny Dimes some help. I think the Giants are having a really good draft. The board is falling super well for them, and I'm happy for y'all, because when we talk about Dolphins, I'm not as happy. Dolphins didn't have a bad draft, but the board didn't fall well for us. The New Orleans Saints, they picked up, they basically just made their picks where they were at. Picked up Isaiah Foskey. I thought that was really good. A very high floor player. Long, going to be a good run defender. He's going to be a 3-down player. And then they grabbed Kendre Miller, because I assume Alvin Kamara is probably on the way out eventually, if not before the season, maybe sometime during or at the end of the season. And Kendre Miller is like one of my favorite running backs in this class. So I went ahead, gave them a B. I thought they did a solid job. Good job, Saints. Good on y'all. Moving on to the New England Patriots. That's the Minnesota Vikings. New England Patriots, please. There we go. All right, so I kind of struggled with this one. This one's kind of C plus B minus for me, if I'm going to be honest. Keon White, for me, that was the right value for Keon White. So getting him there, I thought was fine. Marte Mapu, I am a big fan of Marte Mapu. I thought he was going to get moved down boards because of the torn pec. But the Patriots took him early, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, wow, man. And I was really happy for him, of course. But I was like, for me, that's a little bit early. Ultimately, again, I'm just going to settle on the B. They got good players. Keon White, they could take advantage on that defensive front. Marte Mapu can maybe project as they did list him as a linebacker. So he's going to be playing linebacker. And they have really not a lot of good depth at linebacker. I mean, I think in one of my more recent mock drafts, I think it was the 7th-round mock draft I did earlier this week, I had them get in Drew Sanders. So, and that was in the 2nd round. Here, they're in the 3rd round. The linebacker, we saw this linebacker class just get pushed back. Yeah, Jack Campbell go at 18, and then I don't think the first linebacker was off the board until like pick 67. It was whenever Denver picks. We'll talk about them in a little bit. So yeah, I'm just gonna give them a B, borderlines on C though. If I am gonna be the truth teller that I am. Minnesota Vikings, they moved back, picked up some extra picks. They grabbed 164, 222, and then at pick 102, you grab Mekhi Blackman. He's a press corner. He's good fit for what I thought Flores' coverage scheme is going to look like, being more of a press man heavy system. But I thought he was a bit of a reach. I had him more as a midday 3 player. I'm going to give it a C. I mean, what can you really do with pick 87? It's one pick. They didn't really decide to take advantage of any of the guys that were sliding down the board. And I think that's fine. That's okay. You get a player that can come in and maybe compete for reps that fits your system. That's okay. That's okay. All right, now let's talk about my Miami Dolphins. And this is how you could tell that I'm unbiased. I'm going to just open up and I gave the Dolphins a C. Maybe I'll reevaluate this and be like, oh, maybe I'm a bit harsh. But I liked the Cam Smith pick. The board didn't fall as I liked it. And I was just there during live stream. I was like, listen, I know DeJuan Jones isn't a good scheme fit. But like this tackle class really falls off. And if they wanted to take a swing on him, I wouldn't hold it against them. Instead, they went Cam Smith, who at the time was a top 5 player, like best available player for me. So I was like, you know what? X could be on the way out. Like this pick makes sense. It's a good pick. I like it. Devon Achane and Michael. I saw Mike McDaniel celebrate like, oh yeah, oh, love it. Speed. I love speed. You have made a career off getting production out of day 3 or day 3 picks or journeyman. They didn't have to go running back. That was one of my biggest fears, was they would go running back. I think there was better things they could have addressed. They chose not to. It is what it is. They still got, I think, 2 solid players. But I didn't like them going running back. Really, if they would have done it with the first pick or the second pick. I didn't like it at either pick. So, yeah. But I mean, they're good players. I think they're going to produce well. Next, I think it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, we're going to just jump to the Raiders here, as they had a pretty interesting draft. First, they move up to get Michael Mayer. I love that pick. They only had to give up 141, and then they sat back at at 70 and got Byron Young, which I thought was a little high, but I get it. So these Alabama defensive interior players, and they're either Quinnen Williams or they're probably back end of day 2, early day 3 picks. So I thought it was a little early for Young, but I get it. It's fine. It's a fine enough pick. But that Trey Tucker pick, I really dislike. That has been the biggest reach thus far for me tonight. And maybe actually through thus far the whole draft. He was like, in terms of, who are my best available prospects at the time? He was 228th on my board. It's a big reach. And to make matters worse, this is the pick they picked up from Darren Waller. Like, Trey Tucker's going to come in. He's going to be a good special teamer. He's going to be a good return man. But he's going to be more than that, right? So I ended up just giving him a C. They started out strong. And then they finished with a whimper, in my opinion. So I wasn't a fan of the Raiders draft class. Let's go ahead and move on to these LA teams. We're going to start with the Los Angeles Rams. And despite not having a first round pick, their first pick came at 36. They grabbed Steven Wheeler. I thought that was really good. Byron Young, I thought was one of the more underrated edge players in this class. I like that. That third round pick was what they got in the Jalen Ramsey trade. So that trade's officially complete. So in return for Jalen Ramsey, they got Hunter Long and Byron Young, who actually I'm a big fan of. Kobe Turner, I like that they moved back from 73 to 89, picked up 128, and then grabbed Kobe Turner, who's just good player. Good player, great locker room leader and presence. I'm going to give him an A. I thought they did a good job. I really did. They got edge help. They got more D-line help around Aaron Donald, and then they got help on the offensive line, which they've kind of struggled in the trenches, whether it's with play or with injuries. So, I mean, Avila could play center, he could play guard. I like that. So I thought they did a good job there. Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers. Where you at? There you go. So they stayed put at both their picks. 54 took Tuli Tuipulotu, and I'm kind of intrigued with the scheme fit. Like, I think this is a guy that can operate from like a 7 tech, 9 tech. He can, I don't know if he can really, at his size, kick inside of the tackle. Like, he was listed at 295 at USC, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he should be able to do that. And then it was like, oh, he's 266? Okay, less than ideal line. So it's like, I'm just kind of curious, because I kind of had him as a base 4-3 in terms of how I viewed him. So it's going to be an interesting fit. I still thought it was good. Dion Henley was ludicrous value. Like I said, the linebackers fell, and he is a good pickup. I'm a big fan of that. Henley being a former receiver, former return man in Nevada, converted to linebacker. Then he transferred to Washington State for his final year. He's got length. He's got speed. He's got good coverage ability. He's still learning how to kind of play in zone, but the ability's there. And I'm ultimately I think I'm going to settle on a B. They got 2 really good players, one at a really good value. And really the only thing that's stopping this from being an A is I kind of question the fit of Tuli Tuipulotu, but we'll see. I could end up being really wrong about that, and that's okay. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, guys. As long as you admit it. Like, again, if I end up being wrong, I'm going to admit it. Kansas City Chiefs, I thought they had a solid day. I didn't quite, love the move up. Like, they moved up, gave away 63, 122, and 290 or 249. And to be fair, they got 194 back. To get Rashee Rice, and I thought that was a little high for him, but it kind of is what it is. If they really like him, okay. Like this wide receiver group, everyone was going to have him ranked all kinds of different ways. So I think that was okay. That's fine. Wanya Morris was a good pick. DeJuan Jones still on the board, and I'll talk more about why DeJuan Jones was fallen, but I think part of it was like, oh, he's just too big for his own good. But they grabbed Wanya Morris, who I'm actually a huge fan of, and they moved up for him, and it only cost him a 7th round pick. I believe 217 is a 7th round pick, might be a late 6th, but I ended up giving him a B. I think this has been a solid draft for them. Good on them. I think the Chiefs did well. All right, we're going to go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Admittedly, not in love with their draft. So they first moved down 5 spots, picked up 136. I liked the trade. I didn't like Brent Strange this early at 61. I know some people were pretty high on him. I wasn't one of those guys. So I'm going to look at it differently. And then they grabbed Tank Bigsby, which is fine. And I guess it's going to come down much like the Dolphins. I gave it a C, though I would argue the Dolphins at least got a more valuable position in Cam Smith at the corner position than tight end. But kind of is what it is. Like, for me, Brent Strange, like, he didn't pop out as much on tape for me as he did for other people. I'm a bigger fan of his teammate Theo Johnson, I believe it is. But like, Brent Strange, I'm not going to argue that he was one of the better tight ends in this class, though. But there were other guys on the board that I thought were better than him. Zach Kuntz, Darnell Washington. I believe we also had Tucker Kraft available as well. So, yeah, ultimately, I just didn't love what they did here on day 2. Indianapolis Colts, though. Oh, it was sexy. I believe they traded back twice. They went from, 35 to 38, and then 38 to 44. Picked up multiple picks in the process, and still grabbed their corner in Julius Brents. I think that was a phenomenal move. And then they got great value. They end up getting Josh Downs. Didn't even look into. I believe this trade was via Carson Wentz. I believe so. So kind of goes back. But Josh Downs was exceptional value, a guy that I had in my top 50, being there at 79. Now they get a twitched up slot player, and I love it. I'm giving them an A. I thought Chris Ballard did a great job training back twice and getting the guy he wanted. Julius Brent's kind of a freak. I'm kind of intrigued what he'll do there for Gus Bradley. So we'll see. But good job on the Colts, man. Really loved what they did day 2. The Houston Texans. This is a shame. I really like these players. Like Drew Scruggs, big fan. I had him more in the top 120, 130 range, I believe. And this was a cat that they moved up for, traded away, like flip-flopped 65 and 62, traded away 188 and 230. Got him at 62 with Luke Whippler on the board. I was like, I really don't like that. And then they grabbed Tank Dell, someone who I'm a big fan of. And this is someone that they ended up moving up for through a 161. So I don't like that they moved up, kind of expended some of their later round draft capital to get players I assumed would already be there. So I'm actually just going to give them a C. I think, yeah, not in love with it. Just ultimately not in love with it. All right, the Green Bay Packers, we have them right here. Let's take a look at what they did. So they grabbed Luke Musgrave as part of that Aaron Rodgers trade. Thought that was good. Jaden Reed, this was a little high for my taste. But benefit of the doubt, like they moved back, picked up 179. So they actually traded back with Tampa. Because Tampa went and got Cody Mock. So I thought, you know what, that's fine. If this is their guy, like I think he really fits for them too. Like I think he's going to be a really good slot player for them that brings return capabilities. And I really liked the Tucker Kraft pickup. Keep in mind, this was a team that used 12 personnel a ton last year. And they used the day 2 to get Jordan Love help. I think they knocked it out of the park. I gave it an A. I really like what they did day 2. And I think this has been actually a surprisingly good class for the Packers. We're used to kind of seeing them muffle things up again. Oh, no. We got the Detroit Lions next. Detroit Lions fans. Oh. All right. It is no secret. I think you goofed on day 1. However, day 2, aside from one pick, I think it was a masterclass in what Brad Holmes has done the past few years. I really do. Sam Laporta, I was like, okay, it's a bit high for Laporta. I'm looking at guys like Michael Mayer or Musgrave. Maybe I'd rather those guys, but Laporta's not too far off. Like maybe a tier behind those guys, in my opinion, just because the lack of length, the ball skills, inconsistencies, but really good after the catch. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. But they move back, they move up, excuse me, from 48 to 45, get 159, get Brian Branch. Phenomenal. Branch was falling. I had him as like the 22nd best player in this draft. And they get him at 45. Phenomenal. I love it. And then they move back. This is where they move back from 63. They ended up getting 68 and 138. They turned 183 into 138. And they potentially take their future quarterback, Hendon Hooker. I like Hendon Hooker at that value. He was 71 on my board. And when it comes to quarterbacks, like typically if you got a guy at 71 on your board, you're going to be willing to take him around 50. So this was really good value. He can sit, and there's really no pressure on him having to be the guy. There really isn't. You just used a 3rd round pick on him. We have seen teams this year, this draft. Say to hell with our third round picks we took last year. Sorry, Matt Corral. Sorry, Malik Willis. But we're gonna go ahead and take guys that we believe have better skill sets. So you kind of have that. So I liked that. However, this I thought, like, and this sucks. I love Broderick Martin. I think he's got nose tackle size, but I think it's better probably line it up in front of guards, kind of in a two-tech. But you gave away 122, 138, 168 to move up and get a guy that I thought you probably could have got at 122, or at least early fourth. Really didn't like that. Ultimately, though, I think you really did a good job with the first 3 picks. So I'm going to give them an A. Again, I thought they did a really good job with the first 3 picks. Okay, maybe they kind of like scuffed pick 96, but like I really do think Martin's actually going to be a good rotation player in the NFL. So, yeah, I don't mind it. The Denver Broncos right here. And we're almost through this video. Yay! The Denver Broncos. All their picks came today. They moved up. This was when Detroit moved back to get Hendon Hooker. Denver was moving up to get Marvin Mims. I thought that was fine. Could he have been around at 68? I think so, but hey, move up just in case. So I'm fine with that. I'm a big fan of Marvin Mims. Drew Sanders being available at 67. Again, I don't mean to rub this in, Lions fans. You take Jack Campbell at 18. The next linebacker doesn't come off the board until 67. You gotta imagine he may have been around early in the second round. Regardless, they get really good value with Drew Sanders. Riley Moss, I was like, you know what? I could see Riley Moss going in the third round. The problem I had was I get it. They had 108 and it was like, okay, well, I guess we're just going to have to give you a future third. So I didn't love that. But ultimately, I think the Broncos, for where they were at, I thought they did a solid job. I'm going to give them a B. Good job on y'all, Broncos. A B for Broncos. Bronco country, let's ride. Let's get Mr. Unlimited out here. The Dallas Cowboys. Let me go ahead and take this B down because you're not going to be seeing a B. I think some people are a bit harsh on the Mozzie Smith pick. I think it's fine enough. Let's get harsh about day 2 a little bit. Schoonmaker, I thought was a bit of a reach, and I think that kind of actually resulted in Brenton Strange going higher than he should have. So is what it is. I guess they're that desperate to get it. They don't have enough faith in guys like Jack Campbell and Peyton Hendershot, but okay. Is what it is. Whatever. Okay. DeMarvin Overshown was good value. I actually liked that pick, but you got to look at these 2 day 2 picks and be pretty unimpressed. I gave it a C. I was just kind of like, meh. I thought they really reached hard on Schoonmaker, who probably would have been there at 90. So just why not move back? Just why not? On to the Cleveland Browns, who actually did a really solid job. Ultimately, I ended up giving the Browns a B. Gosh, it was just easy money. Siaki to the Browns. That was something I kept mocking because, hey, this is a team that struggled to stop the run. Get them a big, meaty boy. So they did. I'm glad. I'm happy for him. They got him a big, meaty boy. Serge Tillman was really good value at 74. I thought I thought the Browns just did a good job. I like it. All right, we are on to now the Bengals, not the Browns, but the Bengals. They went DJ Turner, which I like. I didn't think DJ Turner was going to be a press corner in the NFL like he was at Michigan. So he goes to Coach Lou, who runs a variety of different coverages there. He's really good at adapting his scheme to his players. So I thought that was a good pick at 60. I thought that was fine. The Jordan Battle pick kind of confused me when I really started looking into it, because I get it. I gave this class a B, but they move up, or they move back from 92 to 95, so at least they get like pick 217. Yay. But Jordan Battle, who is probably going to play the same role, or I would think play the same role as Nick Scott, who signed a 3-year, $12 million. You may be like, well, that's just $4 million a year. That's not a big investment, which is true. Jordan Bell was probably one of the better players on the board, and that's why you still got a B. I'm not giving you a C. I thought that's still good value, and they really addressed the secondary. It's a passing league. I get it. But I mean, I think there probably would have been more better options with how the board was falling. Like there were some legit fallers in this class. Okay, moving on to the Chicago Bears. The Bears. Dude, I got a gnat in my face. Great. And this class, I'm giving it a B. I think it was fine. It was fine. Gervon Dexter at 53. I don't think that should surprise anyone. I think I did that in my mock. Maybe 53 or maybe 56. Taking a swing on his upside. I know the production has been great, but you're kind of hoping that he's a guy you could fine tune and polish, and that his best days are ahead of him. And then they move up from 61 to 56. They give away 136 and take Tyreek Stevenson, who was kind of falling. And now you get your cornerback room's looking really good, really juicy. And then some people had problems with the Zach Pickens pick at 64. I think it's fine. I think what we saw on day 2 is when it came to interior players, the NFL was prioritizing guys that could be 3-down players that have the build, that have the play strength to be able to play the run. So I thought that was very apparent. Now they bring in 2 young guys that will challenge there to get early playing time, trying to develop that defensive line. I thought it was fine. I gave them a B, especially the Tyreek Stevenson move up. I really liked for the Bears. Okay, Carolina Panthers. The Mingo pick I liked. I didn't mind that. At 39, again, we all felt different type of ways about this receiving class, and we're gonna have these guys all kinds of mixed up. People were gonna have different rankings everywhere. So you take Jonathan Mingo, who is kind of a physical specimen, and I'm like, that's fine. I think that's fine. That's jolly good. Then they move up from 93, give away 132, go to pick 80, and then they take DJ Johnson, who was someone I had a late day 3 grade on. He is a former tight end, has played edge the past couple of years. Exceptionally raw. He's an older prospect. I get it. He run real fast, but that's not good enough for me. This was a big reach in my book, and it kind of soured day 2 for me ultimately. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a C. Okay, on to the Buffalo Bills. And I thought they actually they just kind of let value fall to them. Oh, they did not get a C, by the way. The Bills are not getting a C. They're going to get an A. Let's just go ahead and give them an A. Osiris Torrance at 59 was very good value. And I'm a big fan of Dorian Williams. When I saw Overshown come off the board, I was like, man, I had Dorian Williams as linebacker 5 for me. But it's fine. I think I had Overshown's not too far behind him. And then with the next pick, bam, Dorian Williams. I was like, great. They got an super athletic, long linebacker to replace Tremaine Edmonds. Big fan of that. Even better, I've come around to the Dalton Kincaid pick because someone suggested, you go listen to the presser on their plan for Kincaid and whatnot. I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And I actually said that in the draft video that I was like, the day 1 draft grades. I was like, I don't know, are they playing more 12 personnel, or are they going to kind of have him as a big slot, which is exactly what was discussed in the presser. So I was like, well, good to know. So kind of came around to that Dalton Kincaid pick. But yeah, no, man, I think Buffalo's had a solid draft thus far. It'd be nice if they could get a tackle, but this might not be the class. It is what it is. Cyrus Torrance is a good pickup. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, which only had 1 pick. And it was a good pick. Like Trent Simpson being available at 86 is really good value. I'm going to give it an A. Great. I like it. Would have been nice if they could get a corner, but they could have a good corner available to them at like 124. There's going to be guys like Jalen Jones, Keely Ringo, Corey Trice, Darius Rush that are still on the board. So if they want, they could even make a move up to grab that corner. So like they're not in dire straits here, and they just went ahead and was like, okay, who's the top guy on our board? Oh, this guy's fallen. Let's go ahead. Let's snag him up. So it was good on the Ravens. Good on the Ravens. Okay, the Atlanta Falcons. They grabbed Matthew Bergeron and Zach Harrison. Zach Harrison pick, it was like, it wasn't a reach. It was like higher by like 20 to 30 spots. So I was like, okay, that's fine. That's probably like a B. I'm kind of curious how you'll fit the system, but I'm eager to see. And the Bergeron pick I thought was fine too. They moved up. List him at guard. This guy's playing guard. I've kind of assumed maybe most of the NFL saw him as a guard. Anyway, so they move up from 44, give away 110 to go to 38 because like maybe there's a team that sees him as a tackle, and the tackle slip off is kind of huge. So they move up, they go ahead, they get their player, someone that's going to help pass protect, someone that's going to be actually a really good run blocker too. So like I think they just got good players. They got solid players. Maybe a little higher than I had them, but I thought that's fine. That's fine. It's solid. And let's wrap this sucker up with the Arizona Cardinals, who snagged a BJ Ojulari, which is kind of wild because this was a result of a trade back. This was part of the Will Levis trade. They pick up 41-72 and an extra third in 2024. And they are able to get one of the most complete in terms of pass rush moves, pass rushers in this class. So I thought that was good. Garrett Williams was great value at 72. Like this was a cat that probably would be a top 50 prospect if not for the ACL tear. And then Michael Wilson, if y'all are familiar with the channel, y'all know I'm a freaking sucker for stinking Michael Wilson. I just am. Just am. Also, they like low key. They picked up a bevy of early day 3 picks in 122, 138, and 168 for when Detroit traded up for Broderick Jones. Oh, can you imagine Broderick Martin? So I thought they did. They maneuvered. They handled day 2 exceptionally well. I'm giving them an A. Big fan of the class thus far. Michael Wilson was one of my more favorite receivers in this class, and mainly it was in the Senior Bowl because I was like, man, who is this guy? He gets often hurt. Like who is this cat? I go and watch a little bit. I was like, oh, he could be maybe a sleeper, and then he just explodes on the scene at the Senior Bowl. I was like, oh wow. So glad to see Michael Wilson go. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. As always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.